Hi and welcome back to part 5 of how to build a chainsaw bike. Today we're going to be working on the clutch cable of the chainsaw bike, and stay tuned. Now what I'm going to be using for that is just basically a bicycle brake cable. So you're going to need the outer casing as well for that cable, and I've got a pretty long cable. This one is, I believe it's 65 inches long, so depending on your bike you're going to need a different length. So just like I did with the throttle cable, I set up another lever under the brake lever here, and it's just hanging free there right now. So to give you an idea, the cable is going to run from the lever under here all the way to the back here, and it's going to be connected here where the bar for the chainsaw used to be. So what I'm going to do is grind a hole here with my grinder lengthwise so that the cable can run through it. And I'm going to weld a piece of angle iron with a little pulley on it and another piece of angle iron here to secure my cable there. So the first thing to do would be to line up the two bar nuts here to this. There's a tiny hole here already, so that's going to pretty well be my starting point, and I'm going to grind a line through here. So to do that, I'm going to use a disc like this, a cutting disc that is 1/8 of an inch thick. Then it's going to leave a fairly wide groove in that angle iron. I found this little wheel in my junk pile. It's got a little bearing inside, and I'm going to put it over here, and the cable is going to run down on that wheel. So now what I have to do is cut a small piece of angle iron to attach this on. So what I need now is enough angle iron to hold this onto the other piece of angle iron. So I'm going to drill a 1/4 inch hole here to bolt it on, and now I'm just going to cut a sliver out of the angle iron for that. A piece of angle iron cut, and it's going to go approximately here. First I got to drill a hole through here and put the little pulley on. Now I'm going to bolt the pulley on. I'm going to put a little washer in between. What I've done here is I've ran a cable from where the bar used to be and going up through the crack that I drilled. The reason I put a cable now is that I want to make sure that where I weld this pulley, that it's going to be the right place. So I'm just going to try out a few different spots here. What you want to do is have the cable nice and vertically straight up from where it connects on the saw. So this is where the angle iron piece is going to go. I took off the pulley and I've got it clamped, and I'm just going to tack weld it on there. So this is how I've got this little pulley set up. Lines up right into the middle of the hole there. If worse come to worse, I can always chop off a small piece of metal to clear the way. And it's bolted down on here. Now when I do the final cable attachment here, I will wrap it around this nut here. This is just temporary. Next I'm going to put another piece of angle iron here with a cable adjuster where the cable is going to go into. So here's that other piece of angle iron I just cut out, and I drilled a 1/4 inch hole higher up. And I'm going to use one of these cable adjusters that you can buy where they sell pedal bikes. Or if you got an old bike, just take one off. I'm going to insert that in there and put another nut on the other side. So here's the setup for now. It's just clamped on there to be welded, and it's approximately 8 inches from the pulley. And the way the system is going to work is you insert your cable over here, just like that, and then the sheath of the wire is going to go here as well. So it's going to work its way from here to the pulley And this little gadget here will act as a cable adjustment. I just welded the cable mount here, and now I'm going to prepare the cable. So you want to grab the bicycle cable and cut the end off here. Then insert your cable in the casing. So have your cable ready like this, and make sure you keep this end of the cable. That's going to go on the handlebars. Now what you want to do is insert the tip of the cable into the lever like this, and then follow the groove. And bring the casing right back in there. So the cable is running from that lever like I showed you. It comes down here and it comes all the way over here. Now I put the cable in the holder and there's not enough cable to go down to the saw. Because my cable casing is so long, I'm going to cut part of the casing, and that's going to free up some of the cable here to go down there. So you'll have to pull on the casing and pull the cable far into the casing, and then cut approximately the length off that you've measured. Now that you've trimmed the casing to fit, insert your cable in here and bring the casing right in here. Then run it through the crack here over the pulley. Now I'm going to bolt the cable in between two washers here. So I've got the cable all set up. It's a bit stiff. That's why I put that little wheel here to make it easier to bring up and down. So here's how I got it bolted on there. I've also soldered the tip of the cable because it's going to start fraying with all that pressure on there. If you're not sure how to do that, in one of my previous videos called How to Solder Throttle and Brake Cables, I show you how to do that. So the idea here is when I press this lever, it's going to lift up the engine off the wheel. So now the bike can roll freely. Then when I release the cable, lets it go. So again, this is an experiment and we'll see how it works. I've also put a spring from the bottom of the motor here down to the metal frame. What this does is it keeps the pressure onto the wheel so that it's not always engaged. I'm going to put it up on some blocks and just see how things go. So I know it's going to work. There's a few adjustments to make. For example, it's hard to hold this while you start the saw, so I got to make some kind of lever that's going to physically keep the motor off the wheel when I start it. And I do have to adjust the cable a bit so that when it's pressed in, this is completely off the wheel. I find when it's pressed in, it wants to turn a bit more. So the way to do that is to loosen that nut over here and pull on the cable and then tighten it back up. And in the next video, it's going to be a road test. So see you then.